Hello and welcome to my episode recap for episode 15 of Fate Stay Night on the Bayworks. That is titled A Battle of Legend. And again, Fate Stay Night's UFO Bill, they're doing a really good job with this series, especially with the whole new original material that they are bringing for this. But before we get fully into this episode recap, I'm going to give a spoiler alert warning for here. And so I'm going to spoil a few things about Fate Zero. So if you haven't seen Fate Zero just yet, first watch it. It's very great. It's one of the best anime series I've ever watched. But check that out first. Because I'm going to give spoilers for what happens in Fate Zero. I kind of already did in the last episode recap, but it's very minor. But these are going to be major spoilers for Fate Zero, especially the ending of the second season. And so if you haven't seen Fate Zero just yet, I strongly suggest that, spoilers are going to be ahead, and I'm going to warn you right now here. But now getting to the full episode recap, now you see some new things with Ilya, more of her backstory, and sort of, so the aftermath of Fate Zero, we see her story, I guess you'd say, about what happens after Fate Zero, the death of her mother and her father, and sort of her motivations behind the Holy Grail War, why she's in it, why she's motivated about Kiritsugu and Shiro as well. And we do see a little bit of a battle between Gilgamesh and Berserker. It's very well animated. I mean, again, the series is just so well animated. It looks so cool. But again, more of a one-sided battle, but that's because Gilgamesh is so strong. And I guess you never really said his name just yet, or the fact that he's Archer in Fate Zero, but I assume he is. He looks exactly like him, has the same noble phantasm as him, the Gate of Babylon, and again, really well animated, really well looking, good looking, I should say. There, and little things with Rin and Shiro, they were in the background, and a little bit of annoying things for Shiro at the end, but still, I think it was a pretty good episode, all in, all out, especially with the Ilya parts, and sort of her backstory, and some of the animated parts for the Berserker and Gilgamesh battle. But the episode starts off with Rin and Shiro making their way to the castle where fight is already underway, with Gilgamesh using the Gate of Babylon against Berserker, kills him once, and he does figure out the secrets behind Heracles and the 12 penances, pretty much the way he became a demigod there. And so basically the secret is to kill Hercules 12 times, and he's officially dead. And so that's what Gilgamesh does learn. He's just killing him over and over again, basically, here with the Gate of Babylon, where you can just stand there and use Noble Phantasm against him, just to launch swords at him. Different kinds of swords. Pretty much he respects them, essentially using the most powerful swords that he has against Berserker there. And so, again, we forgot more on the Hercules, the backstory of Berserker a little bit, and sort of his Noble Phantasm, how he can be killed once, but he can still come back to life, and Shinji learns that the hard way, sort of being Shinji there, but still pretty interesting stuff there. But the most important part of this episode was the flashback to Ilya's childhood, something we haven't really seen from this anime series, for the previous incarnations and also the visual novels as well. They kind of touch on it a little bit, but we haven't really seen it this much in depth, similar to Castor's backstory as well. So I do love this original material. They're executing this to perfection, I would say, here. And so the flashback to Ilya's childhood, we see her surrounded by teddy bears and whatnot there, and pretty much is told the events of the finale of Fate Zero. And so basically, the end of Fate Zero, again, spoilers, I mentioned this in the beginning, you've been warned, going to spoil what happens at the end of Fate Zero, but Iris Veal, she is the vessel of the Holy Grail, of course, and I guess some remnants of that came over to Germany, where Ilya was, to tell her about what happened to her father and her mother as well. And she thought that Kiritsugu would protect her mother, because she already knew that she was going to be Holy Grail, the vessel to that. But of course, Kiritsugu realized what the Holy Grail was. It wasn't really a wish-granting device. It was just, I'll grant you a wish as long as you can predict, as long as you can fathom what I'm going to do with the wish there. So he figured out he can't save the world there. Maybe Shiro realized that sooner or later, perhaps. But Kiritsugu could not save the world, and he pretty much chooses the world over his wife and his daughter, pretty much kills his daughter. In a dream sequence, he kills his daughter and pretty much kills his wife as well. And so, he abandons them, essentially, and, he never even came back to see Ilya. And so I guess this is what the vessel of her mother tells her, saying that Kiritsugu died with a family of a newborn. I guess that's what she said. I don't know if she was lying. You haven't really seen a newborn. We saw Shiro, but they're like adoptive siblings. I don't know if he had another kid, perhaps, because isn't Ilya older? Well, who's older in this scenario, Shiro or Ilya? We don't know there, but she is told these many different things by the vessel of her mother from the Holy Grail. And even that vessel of Einsburn, she talks about the Greater Grail, how that wasn't really awakened just yet, and how the Holy Grail War will resume soon. So that does explain why there's, after 10 years, another Holy Grail War commences, because I believe it's supposed to be like every 30 years or so, a Holy Grail War is supposed to commence, and I guess this is why, because the Greater Grail wasn't really revealed just yet. I could be wrong there. It's either 30 years or it is every 10 years. Seems a little crazier there. I think every 30 years is correct, from what Fate Zero said. But this is when Ilya finds a new motivation in life, sort of revenge against Kiritsugu, and sort of making him pay, and also making the child of Kiritsugu pay as well, pretty much leaving her alone, even though she does always say that, I'm fine on my own, and all that. But, she was left alone. Her mother died, and Kiritsugu, he was alive the whole time, but he never came back to Germany, because, well, for obvious reasons, they come back. He did win the Holy Grail War, and, obviously, I don't think they would welcome him back over to the Einsburn estate. Again, we see more motivations for Ilya. I mean, her body gets opened up every day, probably to put magic circuits in it, because, like, later on they say that her body is, like, 70% magic circuits, which is, like, to make her the biggest master, I'm sorry, the greatest master of all time, which gives her a better link to her servants. But, we see more of the Einsburn sort of motivations, like, they don't really have a purpose in this war. The only purpose is to create homunculi as tools for the Grail. Again, homunculi, if you watch Fullmetal Alchemist, that's pretty much what it is, like artificial humans created. And these artificial humans are created as vessels for the Holy Grail, essentially, and that Ilya is sort of the achievements for the Einsburns, a hybrid version of a homunculi and a homunculus and a human of Kiritsugu and Einsburn. And, she's supposed to be the greatest master of all time, and that, if she doesn't win the Holy Grail, pretty much the whole, I guess, the priest or, like, the higher head guy is going to quit, essentially, with this program of using homunculi and whatnot there for the Holy Grail, and, that's pretty much the only purpose. They just have a duty for the Holy Grail. They don't really have an identity as their own sort of people, just, duty, that's all she talks about there, and even, like, the homunculus and all the homunculi are just talking to Ilya about her destiny, essentially, for the Einsburns and the Holy Grail War. So, a very chilling scenes we see here with the backstory of Ilya, and also very insightful as well to more backstory on the Einsburns and Ilya as well. But some time passes on, and like Selah and Lizrit are introduced to us, and she doesn't really care about her servants because, it's just the servants, and she takes the approach that servants are just tools. They aren't really people. They don't really care. I have my command seals. If I didn't have that, he'd probably kill me. And, she's sort of rotten in all that because Berserker saves Ilya in his own free will, later on, like in a test, in the middle of a test, basically, saves Ilya from a pack of wolves, who are just eating at her. Very, I don't want to say graphic, but really detailed, scenes we see here with Ilya being attacked by a pack of wolves, but Berserker saves her and just unleashes a quick explosion on the pack of wolves, and blood's everywhere, but Ilya's smiling. She does realize that Berserker does care about her, and just tries to protect her no matter what, because not because she's their master or anything, because he actually cares about Ilya. And maybe the whole magic circuits thing, giving them a better link with each other, that's probably an influence there. But definitely very cool things we see here with Berserker and Ilya, and the sort of the build-up for their relationship with each other. But we move on back into the battle, which moves inside the castle, and so before the battle, we see more of that there, but Rin and Shiro move into the castle to watch what's going on, and that's when Rin tells Shiro to not interfere no matter what. You have to save yourself first before you think about others. And of course, Shiro will probably just jump in no matter what to try to save everyone, but of course you can't do that because you're really at a big disadvantage against Gilgamesh, who pretty much kills Berserker multiple times, no matter what Berserker does, trying to deflect swords, trying to protect Ilya at the same time as well. Even Berserker comes face to face with Gilgamesh for a little bit, but uses the Chain of Heavens to hold him down. Another noble phantasm, a similar type of noble phantasm that Gilgamesh uses, pretty much establishing himself as the most powerful servant on the table here, even with the combined force of caster, assassin, and archer. It seems like Gilgamesh is like the most powerful servant in the Holy Grail War so far. And so he kills Berserker for the 12th and final time, and Berserker is pretty much dead. Ilya is shocked at this, and that's when Gilgamesh brings out a sword for himself and cuts Ilya's eyes out, basically. We don't really see it, but it's suggested. It's still horrifying to see Ilya, a little girl, like a chibi version, like whatever, all that's what we can say, whatever her character type is, but still her eyes get gouged out. He kills her, just stabs her, like, pricks her, basically. There, it seems so easy, but Shiro, of course, he tries to run and save her, but Rin's trying to hold him down, hold down, don't try to save her, we're at a disadvantage, he's going to kill us if we show ourselves off. But again, it's really tough to watch. I can't really blame him, but it's still kind of annoying, because that's what Shiro does all the time there. But Ilya, gets killed by Gilgamesh in a very horrifying kind of way for like a little girl like her, as she wasn't really an overarching villain, so you kind of did feel for her, especially the backstory that they gave us. And so it's very horrifying to see Ilya and Burge go out the way she did. But Berserker makes one final effort on Gilgamesh, but he reacts just in time to put him down for good. And Shiro does yell at Gilgamesh. He launches a sword at him. Just very easily, even though Shiro just yelled at him like, "Cut that out, you bastard!" And so Shiro just was met with the appropriate reaction there. And we see that Ilya has her last thoughts about Berserker, talking about how he was being kind to her, just for being kind, just because he wanted to be. And he was sort of like a father to her. That's what she talks about there. And her final words was, "It's kind of cold, isn't it?" Sort of like a ironic tongue-in-cheek kind of thing with her scenario that she had there, pretty much living in the castle the whole time. And pretty much the series, the whole episode ends with a different ending theme, like a remix version of Ring Your Bell with Calafina, with a all snow everywhere, dark environments as well. And so a very fitting end for the episode, and Ilya and Berserker are out of the Holy Grail War, and Gilgamesh, who knows what side he's on. Shinji's there as well, but he's sort of like an afterthought with the servant of Gilgamesh you have here. And so really curious what Rin and Shiro are going to do in this scenario. Is he going to set his sights on him? Maybe Shinji might put his sights on Rin and Shiro. But what they're going to do next, they thought they could team up Ilya, but maybe Lancer, perhaps? We haven't really seen his master at all, and maybe we'll meet him in the next episode, perhaps? But we have to wait and see on what happens next for episode 16. As for episode 15, however, I'm going to give this episode a 8.5 out of 10 rating. I really did enjoy this episode, both on a visual aspect and just sort of the content aspect as well, getting more original material for the backstory of Ilya. We got from pretty decent action sequences. I mean, it's pretty much a one-sided battle, essentially, with Gilgamesh using the Gate of Babylon against Berserker, just him deflecting the swords all the time, but still visually stunning, visually appealing scene to watch there. And so, very good episode again for Fate Stay Night and ufotable, and they're doing a very nice job with this series. Just 15 episodes in. I mean, there's so many more episodes to come. Really just can't wait to watch more for this series. But that is it for my episode recap for episode 15 of Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. That is titled A Battle of Legend. Don't forget to put your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below of this episode. Also subscribe to my channel, like this video, share it, favorite it, do all that stuff there. But thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys have a nice day. Bye bye.